Konnichiwa!
Howdy, y'all.
I'm Leslie.
I'm Laurie. Welcome to
Sumo Kaboom, where we talk about all things sumo.
That's right. And this week you have signed up for a Sweet Valley High episode.
Yes.
Because we've made a lot of jokes about Sweet Tottori High, Sweet Saitama High, and we're going to talk about sumo feeder schools. Why?
Well, because we really loved the book series Sweet Valley High growing up, and we keep making this reference. So we thought we'd dig into this stuff and figure out why so many of the top ranked wrestlers come from either of these two schools. Now, there are other sumo schools, don't get me wrong, but these are just two that we started with. So we wanted to know what makes these high schools so special, especially when it comes to sumo.
That's right. But first, we want to remind you about our raffle. We have a raffle going on until the end of October.
Halloween.
Yes, we're going to give it away on Halloween. We're going to draw names. If you want to be part of this raffle for sumo merch.
Yeah, merch that was hand-sourced by us, as well as other people who have been there and picked up some fun, silly stuff and sent it to us. And we are making mega packages to send out to two lucky winners.
That's right. So the way you enter is you either become a monthly supporter of our podcast over at Ko-fi. That's ko-fi.com/Sumo Kaboom.
You can find all that information in our social media, in our bios.
That's right. Or just a donation of $3.
Right. A ticket for the raffle costs $3. So if you donate $12, you get four tickets.
Yeah.
So that kind of thing.
Yeah, we hope you'll join us.
Yeah, please
Win
do.
some merch.
That's right, because we got some seriously cool merch. All right. You ready for Newsflash?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. If y'all didn't realize, you probably saw Oho's eye take a beating in this last boss show. Well, Oho done fractured his orbital floor. So basically his eye socket was just like bashed in by Abi. I believe on day 7.
Ooh.
So he's actually undergoing surgery this week so that he can be ready to fight in the next boss show.
Surgery, so they're wiring it back together.
I'm guessing.
Oh, God.
And then he's going to go back into the ring. So maybe he'll, you know, when Inho wore those bug eyes?
Yeah.
Like, I bet he'll have those bug eye things for a bit, like protecting his eye.
These athletes are amazing.
Well, he went right back to work the next day.
Yeah.
With his face broken for 8 more days.
Yeah, he finished the entire tournament with a broken face.
Yeah.
Ow.
Yeah.
Ow.
Yeah. Also, out of the tour right now, Wakataka Kage and Atami Fuji.
What happened to Wakakaka?
Wakakaka. What happened? He has patellar tendonitis, and Atami Fuji is out with osteoarthritis in his right hip.
What?
Yeah.
Osteoarthritis?
I was like, how's he get arthritis at like age 22?
Good gosh, these athletes.
I know,
are
but once we describe kind of where they come from in these high school programs, you have to understand these guys have been at this for like since they were like toddlers, you know?
Yeah, for 15 years.
Yeah,
they've been ramming their bodies against other bodies.
Yeah. So it could kind of...
And I don't mean that with a wink.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So there... that may be kind of all our news. I think somebody is out with severe bronchitis, and maybe Chiro Naomi, I think, or somebody like that. But other than that, I feel like that's Asanoyama. He's back in the mix. He has not done full recovered Keiko, but he is back in his white mawashi, and he is doing push-ups, all upper body.
Clean and jerks.
Yes, the clean and jerks. And so he's hoping obviously to come back in the spring or after the new year. But he's back there. He has like not much movement in his knees, meaning he can't really bend them. But from what I read, the translation looks like he's doing like a shiko with like straight legs, like without bending. So I was like, okay, do your deals, man, do your deals. But I hope he is on his way back up and getting healthier and healthier every day.
I hope so too.
Shout out, by the way, to Bill, who sent us, after hearing me go on about Wawa and the greatness of Wawa on the East Coast, Bill sent us a nice gift card to Wawa. So the next time I am passing through New Jersey, I am going to stop at that Wawa because I love a Wawa. I love saying it. I love stopping there, I like getting gas. I like their foods to go. I mean, I love everything about a Wawa. What else? Just
Thank you, Bill.
So much lately. We've had so many people just reach out to us. It's the first time I'm listening, or people who are like, this, I've been listening to y'all for 3 years. And it's just, we've had so many people since we've gone to Japan and come back that have just reached out and let us know that you're listening. And to us, that's like the hugest thing. Like, we love doing this, but we love knowing that we do this and people actually listen.
Yeah. It makes us dance. It really does. It makes us kind of like jump around in the corner and go, ooh.
Yeah. So thank you for your continued support, because we have so much fun doing this. We love doing it for you all. And just thank you again to anyone who donates to us to help recover some of our shipping costs and our bingo costs. But most of all, just listening. We really, really appreciate it. Also, in honor of this episode, we have been working for at least 6 months with one of our listeners and like trying to create a sweet Tottori High t-shirt specific for this episode. Now, this took a lot of effort, back and forth, and finding someone to make the t-shirt for us, because we really just wanted a sweet Tottori High t-shirt, and our friend Jessica was willing to like make it happen. They knew somebody that could do it. So this design was created. It looks exactly like a Sweet Valley High teen novel cover book. It's like of a book. It's pretty awesome.
Yep.
But we will put in our link a way to buy this t-shirt. And we'll put on social media us modeling this t-shirt.
Yeah.
But it's pretty awesome. It looks pretty awesome.
Actually, as we're talking about this t-shirt, maybe we should give people an idea of the Sweet Valley High series.
Yeah, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Let me tell you a little bit about
Because if
Sweet Valley
you're
High.
not our age, maybe you didn't grow up with these books.
In the 80s.
You know? Yeah. I mean,
You had to be like a tween girl in the 80s. And I'm sure there's some of you that are out there that are like that. But for us, it was like, it's just throughout time, like, been hilarious to me. To like, there's all kinds of Sweet Valley references all over the world, or all over the internet. But basically, it was like a teen novel, romance novel, probably.
a YA novel.
Yeah, definitely young audience, young adult audience. And they were prolific. This series was about two very blonde, very white girls, like Valley Girls, twins, who lived in a suburb outside of Los Angeles, you know, where everything is glamorous. And it was, every episode was like love, 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 and drama, drama, drama.
Yeah, like, but who's going to date so-and-so? And you can't tell my sister what will happen if she doesn't get invited to the prom, but only I do. Yeah.
It was first kisses, all that kind of stuff. So like for a tween girl, it was huge. Yeah. Like we poured through that series, and Double Love was a big one. Anyway, it's super cheesy, and we absolutely love it. And so upon discovering like we were going to do Sweet Tottori High, we also thought we would do Sweet Saitama High, because their website is literally, I'm going to show you, and I'm going to get a real reaction from you. It looks like it's straight out of a Sweet Valley High. Like,
ooh, I can't wait to see.
It's the cover of a Sweet Valley High.
Okay. So you're talking about Saitama High.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to talk about Saitama High today, and you're going to talk about
Sweet Tottori.
Sweet Tottori.
Tottori. I have to learn to say it correctly. Tottori.
I know, we've been saying Sweet Tottori, but it sounds better that way.
This is the photo? Oh my God. That looks like the cover of a romance novel.
Exactly.
Of a YA book. Okay, so what I'm looking at, oh my God, that's so cute. It's a guy and a girl in their school outfits. So they both have dark jackets on and ties on. But behind them, like,
the walls are pink.
The walls are pink. You're looking down the hall of a high school, but the walls are pink, and it says Saitama Sake High School in handwriting to the side.
That is the font for teen romance novel.
Yes.
They
Oh
have
my God,
used
that's so cute.
teen romance novel font for Saitama.
But even better, the young boy in the photo is kind of looking off to the side, and the girl is holding a pink folder and looking right at the camera with this like sweet, cute smile on it, as if she's saying, "Oh, he's so cute."
Yeah, it looks like a romance novel. We will be telling you about sumo, of course, but we're going to be telling you a little bit about this. Both of these high schools, because like the wrestlers you watched today, they came through this program, and you got to know where they come from. Yeah. You got to know where they come from.
Yes.
So, okay, I thought I'd start with Saitama. Sakae. It's Sakae, which is so hard for me to pronounce.
Yes, Sakae.
Sakae High School. But I'm going to just call it Saitama High. Okay?
Saitama High.
Yeah. It started in 1972 and it added like a junior high in 2000. So it's like one major campus from like junior high through high school. High school's like 3 years, but it's a private school. It costs about $5,000 to $6,000 a year. There are lots, though, of like government loans, financial aid, and it's very specific. Like you can look and find out, like if you're one of 4 kids, this is the price. You know, it makes you think it's actually an affordable sort of private school.
Okay.
But what it is that the school aims to achieve 4 goals: academics, martial arts, art and arts rather than just academics and sports. It is also known as a school that is very, very active in sports. So their motto is learn today.
Okay.
Their founding spirit, I don't know what that means, is human beings are our greatest treasures. By the way, the school has about 3,000 students, about 500.
Oh, that's big.
Yeah. Every kid has to have one club that they're involved in. And I can read you the list of clubs, and it is amazing how many there are.
If you want to go and you want to sign up for all these clubs?
You have to be in at least one, and that's usually a sport. And if you decide to not go sports, you have to throw yourself full on into marching band, which I love.
Okay, yeah.
Marching band or other arts, but their marching band is next level.
Really?
Yes. And then I went on a whole rabbit hole of like, what's the history of marching band?
Because y'all, marching band is huge in Texas.
Right.
If you did not know, it is huge.
Well, here's a fun fact. I was like, did we create it? Like the narcissistic person in me was like, I bet America created it. Then I was like, no.
Oh, who created marching bands? Yeah. Please tell me you have an answer to this.
I have an answer. Would you like to know it?
Yes.
Here's a fun fact. Marching bands have ancient origins. Armies used percussion and woodwind instruments as signaling devices that could cut through the din of a battlefield and transmit basic commands to soldiers. The earliest military marching bands that historians have documented were from the Ottoman Empire in the 13th century.
Whoa.
The Ottomans conquered vast swaths of territory in northern Africa, the Middle East, southern Europe, and brought their marching band tradition with them, which in my mind is like ancient Ottoman Empire. And then there's like a modern day like outfit and like a drum major. And like tubas and like percussions and flag girls and all that kind of stuff.
It makes sense. I mean, a trumpet is a loud instrument.
Right? And it cuts across. If people are on a battlefield, like, fighting it out. I mean, a nice little, but it was coded.
Right.
So that.
Go left.
Right. Go right. Right. Isn't that cool?
Yes.
So anyway.
Can I just continue with my mouth trumpet?
Yeah. Here are the morning words that every student has to say. Today, we will learn how to live life with a learning mindset and strive to develop our own potential. We will study seriously in class with respect and gratitude and strive to improve students' academic ability. We aim to be Sakae. I can't say it. We aim to be Sakae High School students who are trusted by many people and will do our best today. The 3 phrases, those 3 phrases are repeated every day by everyone, including teachers.
Okay.
And then there's some rules. They have cute little uniforms that like they're adorable, but you are not allowed to perm your hair.
Okay.
Curl it, dye it, bleach it, cannot wear makeup, cannot possess cosmetics or accessories. I don't know what that means. But everyone has to be in a sports division. And if you aren't in that, like I said, you have to do creative learning. But they have a Japanese school song. And they don't just have one. They have like 3. And it's all on the website to listen to. But I'm going to let you listen real quick just to get an idea of how a day starts at Saitama High. Here's a little bit of their, this is just their general high school song. Yeah, that's like a little, you hear it every day, but it's interesting because a lot of these, they all have marching bands accompanying, right? Mm-hmm. Here's their cheering song, and this one has words. And then the last one is the anthem called The Rising Youth. And it goes on and it goes on.
What's striking me is how similar schools' songs are across the world. Because that
Right.
could have played at our high school.
Exactly.
Every morning with our fight song and with our marching band.
Right.
All you need is a little tuba in the background. It makes you
I
get
know.
up and go.
But see, we did ours
study.
a cappella, right? We did like Our Country 'Tis of Thee. We had to sing that growing up, and we had to do the Pledge of Allegiance, but
Which is different.
Which is different. But we didn't have like a full marching band soundtrack. That was pretty good.
I like it.
I like it, right?
I mean, we had fight songs during band practice, but not every morning.
Right, exactly. Okay, so I am going to read as fast as I can all of the options of school clubs, sports club. Ready? I should be timed. Track and field men, track and field women, ekiden men, ekiden women, hardball, baseball, boys, volleyball men's, volleyball women's, volleyball men's. Basketball men's, basketball women, gymnastics men, gymnastics women, rhythmic gymnastics men, kendo, judo men's, judo women, wrestling, male and female, weightlifting, male and female, badminton, male and female, soccer men, soccer women, softball, swimming, water polo, American football, handball, table tennis, kyudo, karate, golf, sumo, baton, laido, fencing, supporters, naginata, ice hockey, figure skating, dance, hardball, baseball, and cheerleading. Those are all the clubs you could join.
Yeah.
That's nuts, right?
No, our schools had just as many clubs.
Do you think they had kendo?
Well, they didn't have martial arts, no, but they had a ton of clubs.
Well, if you look at this website and you see their facilities, they have, like our high school, we shared a mega stadium with like 5 other high schools, right? Or 2 at least, 2 or 3. And their high school has facilities for each one of these things. So they have their sumo ring, then they have their baseball field, then they have their football field, then they have their marching band field, then they have their dance studio. I mean, the facilities itself looks world class, like professional. And when you think of a place like Japan that doesn't have tons of space, this school has all kinds of new buildings on every single floor. And so
you're saying these schools seem well funded and the studios are really professional, even at the high school level. There's a lot of support for these kids.
Well, and I think for sumo, the reason why I say that is that kids go to this school because it has a real dohyo ring. Most schools don't have a sumo club because it's had waning interest over the years. So this is one of the schools where a kid who has been doing sumo forever is well, I can continue doing this, and it gets more and more serious, and they invest all their money in the top instructors and the top facilities. And a kid is not doing sumo in a backyard or an old rickety, dohyo that may be outside. This is a top-notch facility for sumo wrestlers. And this school is referred to as one of these sumo powerhouse schools. It has had at least a dozen wrestlers that have graduated who have reached sekitori status. So Juryo and Makuuchi.
So these are wrestlers that would have heard all these songs, gone to all these different camps
Yep.
and studied sumo at the school.
Yes. And they always give one kesho mowashi, a ceremonial apron, to each student who becomes a sekitori.
Mm-hmm.
Those things aren't cheap, friends. Now, there are lots of famous people that have come through there. Go-Edo is one of those.
So he would have heard that fight song every day growing up.
In July, though, of 2022, 14 out of the 70 sekitori, so that other number I gave you was a low number, 14 out of the 70 guys that were in Juryo and Makuuchi were from this high school. So that's a lot. Now, the current director, the club director, his name is Michinori Yamada, and he's a graduate of Nihon University, and he was an amateur yokozuna, and he has managed the club since 1988.
Wow.
So he has been there for a very long time.
Yeah.
I found an article from Time Magazine from 2010, and he was somewhat interviewed. Well, the kids that were unknown in this article, he's talking about, one of them has to be Koto Shoho, and that he's sitting there as one of the young kids. He is 12 years old already and weighs 230 pounds. He has breasts, his thighs chafe when he walks. And this is all good news in Japan's sumo world, where flesh acts like an indispensable armor in the sport's brief and brutish bouts. So if this was 2010, this reporter was probably sitting there with who else in the room? I'll read you a list of who else today comes from this high school. And you might be like, oh, it was Koto Shoho and perhaps Taka Keisho, or, it's a lot of guys. So the coach had a couple of things to say, though. And I think there's something about, if you're going to send your kid to a school, where do you send him? This guy was never in, I don't think, professional sumo, but he's been there for a long time. So he's a well-established high school level oyakata, essentially. And the constant turnover of guys that just bump right up there into the top ranks of the division make it understandable why parents would be like, okay, we'll send our kid off and they'll go to this private school and we'll figure out how to pay for it, just to have them have the best of the best of the high school coaches. Go-Edo, Taka Keisho, Miyoguru, Toyanoshima, I believe. One of the coaches at Kasugano that we probably saw, one of the assistant coaches there, he went there. Akiseyama. Also for our California listeners or people who know Yamamoto Yama, also.
He went there. Wow.
Yes, he's not mentioned on the website because of, I'm sure, scandal or whatever. Kotozakura, Daisho, Gonoyama, Oho, Koto Shoho, Kitanowaka, Shiden, Hidenoyama, and Yago.
Yeah, that's a big list.
That's a massive list.
Yeah.
This coach has they have like a trainer, like a physical trainer as well that's employed there. And another guy who may be like facilities. And I'm sure they have a lot more help and assistance.
Yeah. But
it is a program that I couldn't quite tell if they stay there in a dorm, but they eat together and everything. So something about it tells me that this also is like, without the level of seniority thing that happens, perhaps there is, but on a lesser level than it is in a real sumo stable, something akin to a stable experience for these young guys that come there and practice and get used to what it's like to practice all day or eat lunch, that whole thing. But then at the same time, they're going to school. Also to be noted about the school, it has churned out many other sporting legends. Like, you might not know them, but like, they have ice skating. They have all kinds of Olympians in all different mediums, sports mediums that have come through the school. So
something about that fight song.
It might be. I just thought that was interesting. It's like, if you got a sporty kid, then like I guess I just thought it was like a regular high school with like a really strong sumo program.
Yeah.
But now I'm seeing that no.
It's in the water.
This is all over sports.
It's totally in the water.
There are just oodles of Olympians or people who have won all kinds of awards, and they're getting better and better and better and better.
Yeah, so something about the atmosphere of the school. They demand excellence and they get it.
Yeah.
Or they know how to develop it. It's great. Saitama.
Yeah. One of the coach said, every day of sumo practice is like a traffic accident.
A traffic accident?
Yeah, because they're bashing up against each other.
Oh.
And the reporter says the fluorescent lights shine down on the ring. The place smells like a locker room.
I bet.
With the 18-year-olds or 12-year-olds. There are 18 students who are sticky with sand and very, very sweaty. But they perform a circle around the ring, bring their hands together and bow their heads to the gods. And for a moment, the future of sumo is united in worship. So that's what this writer, Hannah Beach, was the reporter's name, with a translator in tow.
Rock on, Hannah.
And maybe this is what makes this program, another aspect of this program, important. Because when you look at someone like Myogiryu, when you look at someone like Goeido and Takakeisho, to me, they have very similar personalities. It's stoic. Coach says, sometimes I just cancel practice and talk about sumo's traditions and culture instead. There's an elegance to the whole tradition, and that's what gives it the Japanese essence.
You're also helping me understand how someone like Takakeisho could get burned out, though, who's wanted this since he was a kid, and he has a father who's really driving him towards the top, and then he goes to this school, and then he goes right into that sumo world. Whew, I can see how your body, he would just get exhausted.
Yeah, but it's all your body is known. And these are kids that are here. These are kids that are serious about it, because all over Japan, there's kids that are doing sumo, but, you know, like I said earlier, the numbers have waned because they don't like wearing the mawashi. It's really, really hard at 12 years old to do that. You know, how do you convince a 12-year-old to like go head on at somebody else? Right. Yeah. So I imagine that's what you get with an experienced coach is, teaching them how to be strong and all that. But
actually, I would think getting 12-year-olds to go head on towards each other might be the easiest thing.
Maybe it is.
You just like bookend that with some hot dogs, and you probably have a good practice.
Have a fun birthday party, probably. And I imagine in some way too, this coach is probably like an agent. You know, if you have that much experience and you've got these kids, where do you think these oyakata come and visit? Yep. They come and watch practice, probably, the high schoolers, and go, or the 15-year-olds, and go, are you going to go pro, or are you going to go the college route?
Actually, they probably go, how tall is your dad?
Right.
How large is your mom?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
And how much do you want this?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I imagine he's somewhat of a scout kind of too for them in the future where they might land. So that is sweet Saitama High.
You know what? That's a perfect segue, because sweet Tottori High is the home of these names. Terunofuji, our 73rd Yokozuna, Mitoryu, Roga, who is up there right now, Ichinojo, you might remember him, Ishiura, Hokuseiho, Takakenta, Hakuoho, Takeru Fuji. All of these guys have in common the fact that they're from Mongolia.
Right.
And they came to Japan for sumo. They all ended up at sweet Tottori High, which was just about all I knew about the school when I first started looking into it. It's actually called, as I said before, Tottori Johoku High School. Has about 1,000 students. And you know, when you talked about your school, it sounds very similar. Like there's an academic side. It's a private school. There's a strong academic side. There's a strong academic and sports like avenue. You can go through these schools. There's tons of classes that you could take, tons of sports and martial arts that you can really focus in on. Basically, when I looked at their site, what I came away with was, if you want to make it into the best college in Japan, or you want a career in baseball or sumo, this is the school you want to go to. It has a sports science track that I guess is very, very popular and very, very good, especially for those two sports.
Wow.
Yeah. Interestingly, you were talking about connections. The principal of the school, the director of the school board, and the coach of the sumo club is all one amazing person in one small little package. It is Ishiura's dad.
Aha.
So naturally, there is a link to Miyagi no stable, Hakuho stable. Ishiura's father and Hakuho are very, very good friends. I don't know if that has developed since this program came about, or if it was there all along. The Sumo Club was founded in 1968, so it's a little bit older than Saitama. Ishiura's dad is a former recruit of the school. He came from the school, came through the school. And since the Sumo Club has opened, they've produced 17 sekitori.
Wow.
17 top rank guys. If you're accepted into the Sumo Club, and that is an if, not everyone is, you stay, it looks just like a sumo stable. You stay at Ishiura's dad's house.
Wow.
He lives on the 3rd floor. You live on the 2nd floor with all the rest of the young men. And the 1st floor is the kitchen. And probably that's where the dohyos are as well. You get top-notch training. You get a huge kitchen. You're living with someone who understands Mongolia. You have great bathing facilities. I mean, the pictures online, it looks just like a heya.
Wow.
Like, there's no difference. It looks just like a heya.
And see, that's one thing I don't know about Saitama High. It makes me think it would have to be that, because if you have your kids from all over the country and you're sending them to a private school to do this, there must be like a dorm.
Well,
you know?
It depends on where they live. I mean, these kids are coming from Mongolia, so they need a place to stay.
Right.
And it helps if they're all training together. They're all from Mongolia.
Right.
They share the same interests. You know, so much is similar to all of them. So it makes sense that they would all stay together and with one man that they trust, or one man's family that they trust. That makes perfect sense. But if you live all over Japan, let's say you live near Saitama and you can get there easily, maybe you don't need a dorm. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, Saitama is, by the way, it's about an hour and 15 minutes away from the Kokugikan. It's
okay, it's not far.
It's by car or by train. It's like an hour 15.
Okay.
So
okay. This one's further.
Yeah.
The Tottori High is on the other side, is like west of Osaka, Kyoto. It's sort of on the coast, the northern side of the island. But it's like west Japan.
This is northwest of Tokyo.
Okay. And I don't mean to say that Tottori High is only for Mongolians. It's not. Like, the sumo club that has Mongolian kids and Japanese kids. It's, it's for anyone who's really interested in sumo. But what's interesting about it is that direct connection to Mongolia and how they've been able to take so many Mongolian wrestlers and turn them into paid status sumo wrestlers. That's really what's amazing. Now, Ishiura's dad is, he came from Mongolia. He won 3rd place at a Mongolian wrestling championship meet. And then the coach of the Tottori High Sumo Club attended that meet and suggested that he come to Japan and study at that school and train as a sumo wrestler. So that connection
I didn't know
was
Ishiura's dad was Mongolian.
Supposedly.
What's his name?
Rentsendorj Jantukus.
Oh, that's a full-on Mongolian name.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Grew up in Mongolia. His dad was very much interested in him going to Japan to do this. Mom opposed to the idea. He was the youngest of 6 boys. But anyway, father and brothers supported the suggestion. And so he decided to go to Japan. At 15 years old, he had trouble with the language, he had trouble with the new food, the differences between Mongolian wrestling and sumo. But despite all of that, he got better with his sumo and ended up winning 5th place in a singles tournament at the National Sports Festival in his 2nd year of high school. As a 3rd-year student, he was a regular team competitor and he won every major national meet. So he was really good in high school. However, he was physically really small. He was kind of like, if you think of Teretsuyoshi,
right?
If you think of Midori Fuji, right? He was the kind of wrestler where you had to do an underarm, like shitatanages. You had to throw from underneath. Right. You had to like do twisting underarm throws because he was so small. And those moves, he was really good at teaching them, really good at doing them. Those moves are great, but it's really hard in sumo to have much of a career when you're that small.
Right.
And so what happened to him is kind of what happened to Enho. He ended up with a bone displacement in his neck. Severe.
Takakeisha?
No. Well, kind of more like Enho. People pushing down on the back of your neck.
Enho, yeah.
So you get neck injuries. And so that's what happened to Ishiura's dad.
Oh.
And he, in essence, decided to give up his professional career and and focus more on amateur sumo wrestling where there are weight classes, where it was a little bit safer for a smaller guy like him to do sumo. And he decided to then teach sumo at his alma mater. So that's why he's such a good coach, is because he's small and he's fast, and he was very good, but he just physically found it difficult to wrestle those much larger men. Anyway, he, everybody says he's very kind-hearted and endearing, and you would have to be if all of these families are sending their boys to a different country to live in your home.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, you would have to be. He's known as being very stern in the ring. He puts a huge emphasis on respect. He said it all begins and ends with respect. Sumo is very strict about its manners, its behavior, because the sport originated from shrine rituals. So he just drills into these young men the idea of respect. I found an article that said he will mercilessly scold any boy who gives any lack of respect to another student or to himself. He is very strict and stern.
Well, he should have had that conversation with Hokuseiho, who came through that school.
Yes, I know. Recently, between the years of 2019 and 2022, their sumo team won 4 team championships.
Wow.
March 2024, another team competition that they won individually in the same time period. His wrestlers won 3 individual championships. Like your school, the school presents a keshimawashi to any student who's promoted to juryo. So you'll see them on wrestlers right now, like Oroga has his.
That's probably their very first one they get.
Probably. The aprons that come from the school are usually dark red, and they have the head of a kirin, which was it's kind of that dragon deer. It looks like a dragon, but has the body of a deer. Anyway, that's sort of their school mascot, and their motto is training without lies.
You know, there's a documentary on NHK about Rentsendorj Gantugs from
yes.
Yeah, I haven't watched it, but we should put that in there.
Yeah, I haven't watched it either.
Bound in Heart by Sumo.
Yeah. I tried to follow the links and they were
not
dead. Live.
Oh, okay. It's from a series called Where We Call Home. But if anybody finds that, I'd be interested to see what that is. If that's, yeah.
Yeah. But that means Takerufuji, Hakuoho, Uroga, and Terunofuji all have aprons from that school right now.
Wow.
Who knows how often that they wear them. But I think it's pretty cool that all these guys came from the lineage of like Ishiura's dad, which I think is really cool, and have such a strong connection with Hakuho, because Hakuho will come to the trainings. You know, Hakuho is there watching those kids. That's how he got Hakuoho, is from watching Hakuoho go through training at this stable at Tottori High. So you know Hakuho goes to the school often.
Well, yeah, and he's close to Ishiura because they were in the same stable together.
And that's how he got Hokuseiho, I'm sure. Right. Yeah. Yeah, and even though it didn't work out with Hokuseiho, there are other people it has worked out with.
Right.
And who are still wrestling today. So it's exciting. That's what Sweet Tottori High is. And you can follow them on Facebook, which I think is really super fun. You can see, you can watch the kids train and cheer for them. I think it's interesting to know about the school itself, the training, and, what living there is like for these kids that come from Mongolia.
Saitama High, they have 12-hour days. They go from 9 to, they have the independent hour in the morning, then they start 9 to like 4, and then all these kids practice till 9 p.m. Yeah. So I imagine it's the same with Tottori High.
Yeah, I imagine so. What I think is so fascinating about Tottori is these kids are away from home. They're not with their families of origin.
Yeah.
So these kids are really growing up together.
Right.
With Ishiura's father, who he must be amazing. It helps me understand, when the thing with Hokuseiho happened, there was mention in several articles about how angry Ishiura was. And I didn't quite understand why Ishiura would be that mad, why there would be so much conflict between Hokuseiho and Ishiura. But now as I look more into the school and I realize that it's Ishiura's father who helped raise Hokuseiho, it helps me understand why Ishiura would feel even more angry and protective of what his father is creating at Tottori and how Hokuseiho's actions represent his own father and himself.
Yeah. Well, all the time and investment. And essentially the kid's probably a part of the family. That's like being betrayed in some ways by a relative.
He's still such a large part of that program.
Right.
And how someone like Ishiura might feel in response to that.
Right.
It just helped me understand that dynamic.
His father's effort to raise him up and then to be kind of betrayed by all of that. And now he's out on his own.
Yeah, which could be a chapter of Sweet Tottori High that I have not written. But someone needs to write that.
You do have a story to share that has been written by ChatGPT.
Yeah. I wanted to finish on a real dumb note, y'all. Real dumb note. And so I asked ChatGPT to help me write a Sweet Valley High-based story called A Sumo of a Decision, which is the worst title, maybe, that's ever been written.
So it's a sumo-centric story, but based on Sweet Valley High.
Yep.
Okay. And the two leads of Sweet Valley High were originally Elizabeth and
Jessica. Yes. So here we go.
So this involves Elizabeth and Jessica in the sumo story? Perfect. Yes. I am on board. Okay.
Here we go. Jessica Bennett stood in front of her mirror, brushing her long blonde hair for what felt like the 100th time that morning. It was the day of the big spring fling, and she had a dilemma. 3 boys, 3 potential dates, and only 1 heart to give.
Wait, I hope one of them was a sumo wrestler.
Who am I going to choose? She whispered to herself, glancing at the photos pinned to her corkboard. I just have to say, this is the most perfect Sweet Valley High story.
They're acing it so far. ChatGPT is acing it.
Yes. All right. And the photos. In each one, a boy smiled back at her. Bruce, the popular heartthrob with his chiseled jawline and cocky smile. Squid, the brainy guy with glasses and an endearing awkwardness. And then there was Onosato. The quiet but imposing sumo wrestler who had just moved to Sweet Valley from Japan. He wasn't like anyone Jessica has ever dated before. Gentle, soft-spoken.
Crazy eyes,
but with a strength that radiated from him.
I hope she chooses Onosato.
Right? Jess, have you decided yet? Her twin sister Elizabeth asked, walking into the room. Elizabeth, always practical, had a way of helping Jessica make the right choice when she was torn between her head and her heart. I don't know, Liz. Jessica sighed dramatically, flopping onto her bed. Bruce is so dreamy, and all the girls love him. If I went with him, I'd have the most amazing night, and everyone would be talking about us. But then there's Squid. He's kind of cute in a dorky way, and he's been crushing on me for so long. It'd be sweet, right? Elizabeth sat on the edge of her bed, her brows furrowed thoughtfully. And Onosato? Jessica's heart fluttered at the mention of his name. Onosato wasn't like Bruce or Squid. He didn't spend his days flexing in front of mirrors or trying to impress her with nerdy facts. He was different, strong, grounded. And whenever he looked at her, it was as if he saw straight through all her layers. I don't know, Jessica admitted, sitting up. He's really nice, but he's so different from the guys I usually date. Plus, he's a sumo wrestler. Can you imagine what people would say if I showed up to the spring fling with him?
Yeah, but he has a new baller car because he just won it, and he makes a really good living. He's got cash flow.
Elizabeth tilted her head, her blue eyes serious. What does it matter what other people say? What do you want, Jess? That was the question, wasn't it? What did she want? As the day went on, Bruce sent her flirtatious texts. Squid stopped by with a cute handmade card, and Onosato, well, he didn't do anything except nod politely when they passed each other in the hall. But there was something calming about his steady presence that stayed with her.
It's always the quiet ones that get you.
It is.
Yeah.
Later that afternoon, Jessica found herself in the school courtyard. To her surprise, there was Onosato, practicing some sumo exercises in the quiet corner of the green.
I imagine him in a Mawashi, like in this like high school in California somewhere. It's very beachy. And
Actually,
he's in a Mawashi.
I imagine him in like shorts and a t-shirt, just in the corner of the courtyard, like the lunchroom courtyard, just practicing in his loafers or something.
Full sumo garb.
So however you picture him, his movements were slow and deliberate, his expression focused, and despite his large frame, there was a grace to the way he moved. "Hi, Onosato," Jessica called, walking over to him.
Hi, Onosato.
He paused and looked up, smiling gently. "Jessica." That's all he says.
Jessica.
I was just watching you. You're really good at that. So far, this is exactly how these books are written.
Yeah, now you're getting a dose of Sweet Valley High.
Yes.
Does he say arigato?
No, he says it in English, yes.
Well, he's learning English because he's moved to
America.
Yeah.
"Thank you," he said simply, brushing his hands together. Sumo is more than just fighting. It's about discipline, balance, and respect. Jessica hesitated, feeling suddenly nervous. I've been thinking about the spring fling. I have to pick someone to go with. Onosato nodded, but he didn't press her. He just stood there, waiting for her to continue. "I like Bruce, and Squid is really sweet," she admitted. "But when I'm around you, I don't know, I feel like I don't have to try so hard."
I mean, that's kind of rude of her to say, like, the other options in front of him, but I feel like he's going to take it well.
She's young. Onosato's smile widened slightly. "You shouldn't have to try with anyone, Jessica. You should just be yourself." Her heart skipped a beat. No one had ever said that like that. Her heart skipped a beat. No one had ever said that to her before. With Bruce, she always felt like she had to be perfect. And with Squid, she felt like she had to be the smart one. But with Onosato, it felt easy, like she could breathe. "I don't know what people will think," she said softly, glancing down at her shoes. "Does it matter what they think?" he asked gently. "What do you want?" The words echoed Elizabeth's advice, and suddenly Jessica knew the answer. "I want to go with you, Onosato." His dark eyes gleamed with warmth, and for the first time she saw a flicker of surprise on his usually calm face. "Are you sure?" Jessica grinned, her heart feeling light. "Yeah, I'm sure." The night of the spring fling, all eyes were on Jessica as she walked into the gym, hand in hand with Onosato. Whispers fluttered through the crowd, but Jessica didn't care. For once, she wasn't worried about what anyone else thought. She was with someone who made her feel confident and real.
I still see him in his traditional sumo garb. I mean, he could be California and have his hair down and like shorts, like floral shorts and a shirt, but I still prefer him to think of him exactly as I think of him.
Okay, so Leslie has him pictured in his mawashi, her in her spring fling dress.
He's in his robes now.
Okay, I picture him with a suit on and his mawashi bottom. And her in this great spring fling
He's carrying two
outfit.
Fish.
With two fish. How about one fish in one arm and the other arm around her?
She's on the other arm.
And here they are as they swayed together on the dance floor.
Oh,
Jessica looked up at Onosato and smiled. "I made the right choice, didn't I?" she asked. Onosato looked down at her, his expression full of quiet affection. "I think we both did." And in that moment, Jessica knew that no one else mattered. For the first time in a long time, she had followed her heart, and it led her right where she needed to be.
Oh, that's so sweet. I wanted him to look down at her and say, Hakioi.
Actually, you know what I wanted when I read it?
Let's go!
When I read it the first time, I pictured him
sumo kiss?
in a tuxedo.
Oh.
And like full tuxedo, and her in a very frilly, like straight from Pretty in Pink outfit.
Yeah.
With them in the school gym.
Yeah.
Like he's taller. Exactly. They're right there on the basketball court.
Much is
yes.
true.
And he looks down. They look at each other. He looks at her. She looks at him. And they have their first little butterfly kiss or like smooches of nose flutters.
Yeah, but they don't do, the sumo wrestlers, they don't do that in public. Only behind. They don't even touch unless the wife is touching the tie.
Mm. Well,
now,
he's in America now, so all rules are off the table.
Okay, that's true.
Maybe he turns her and then he dips her and then he gives her a first kiss right there in front of everybody.
That's an American ending. Okay, well, that was absolutely delightful. And now that may be a series that we have to just every once in a while, at least maybe for a Valentine's episode, it's like read chapter 2 of a sumo of a decision. Which doesn't make any sense, actually. Like a sumo of a decision. What is that like riffing on?
Yeah, the title is terrible. But the story itself, I thought was very good.
Yeah, they aced it.
Yeah. If you want yourself a sweet Tottori High t-shirt,
yes,
we're going to tell you where to go to get one. It's very cute. We'll share photos of it. It's done, like we said before, in the spirit of Sweet Valley High. You can get yourself a sweet Tottori High t-shirt.
So if you like that story, it doesn't have Onosato on it, but get yourself a t-shirt. It's quite cute. All right, then. Until next week, I am Leslie.
I'm Laurie. See y'all later.
Bye. Bye.